It's a stacked lineup of racing here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile as the Elite Cup Series ends the round of 12 and the Amateur Cup Series starts the round of 8. But before all that, we get started with the Open Modified Series, the third of 4 races for the part-time truck drivers. Hello everybody, Colin Denton here with you tonight, and if you are not familiar with the series, let's get you acquainted. This is a 4-race series, non-points paying. We started at White Mountain Motorsports Park, also drove at Portland, and we'll end the season at Lonesome Pine. This is for the drivers that signed up late for the league and are trying to qualify for the truck races. Interestingly, this is the only round where the truck race will not follow this modified race. The league wanted to have a mile circuit on the schedule, and they decided, since we were going to be at Milwaukee anyway, they'll bring the modified race up one weekend, and then anyone who's competing at Myrtle Beach will be entered. Now let's take a look at the first group. Vincent Stromberg, Jonathan Wong going to lead it off, and there's a few notable names in here. James Johnson, who won the White Mountain modified event, and Luke Evans, who has won a truck event. He won at Mayville. And you see the rest of the starting grid, 19 cars in this group, 18 in the rest, trying to even it out as much as possible. And the top 2 will advance to the feature events. We'll have 10 in total for that one, and the green flag is out on group number 1. Vincent Stromberg gets a great jump, and Carson Mitchell's going to follow on the inside. But this is going to be a race unlike the ones we saw before, because on this mile track, they're going to be drafting the entire time. And we see Jonathan Wong is really struggling to get any grip on that top line. Definitely want to be down there in that darker stuff. And Carson Mitchell already trying to make a move to the inside. But with these modifieds at this larger track, it's going to act like a super speedway. We're going to see these drivers come in waves. We got the onboard of Luke Evans right now as he comes to the inside. Now Mitchell finds himself on the outside as Fred Bow tries to make the move to the lead. 22 car finds his way to the front and will take the lead on this lap. Fred Bow has been trying to compete in the truck series since race number 4 at Trenton, has yet to make an event. And here comes the driver who's the only part-timer who's won a race in the truck series. It's Luke Evans. Certainly got to keep these drivers disciplined to stay on the bottom line, because that's clearly where everyone wants to be, as we now see Valdez moving to the inside of Luke Evans. Not going to take the lead at the line, but he should have the advantage going down into the corner. Valdez, another driver who's been competing for a few races and hasn't made a truck series event yet. He started at Oswego, race number 5. And here comes Richard Raffi in the 99 up to the inside. Riding on board Juan Garcia. He made his debut in the truck series at Ontario. And that came after a stint of races that he failed to qualify. Richard Raffi also made a start. That came at Toronto. Both of them finished outside the top 30 in their debuts, and the only races they have made so far. And here comes Daniel Makimo, making it 3 wide on the inside. And this is going to be a tight one in the corner as he overdrives it just so slightly. And the 07 of Richard Fridge trying to make the move to the inside. And they might be touching tires going down the front stretch. Oh, Fridge really shoves it in here. And here comes Jason Hars in the 78 to the inside. And they're touching wheels. Man, 3 wide action up at the front. They're keeping it constant. They keep overdriving that corner, and it's very tight with the 78 and the 07. Oh, and we've got a spin out of turn 4, right in front of the field. Richard Raffi, Juan Garcia. I believe that's Kyle Langland in the 50. Going to take an additional hit there. And a reminder, there's no cautions, no change from the first 2 rounds. It is green flag the entire way, so we have Jason Hars out in front. Nicholas Curry making a move to the inside. Richard Fridge still up there. And it's a 3-car breakaway at the moment. That's about where that spin happened. We've got 3 laps to go. Riding on board Justin Carr, who's in that 4th position, trying to see if he can get that draft to pull him back to the front of the field. And if these guys keep racing the way they are, he might still have a chance if he can keep it down to the inside. There's Nicholas Curry on the inside, and if it doesn't sound like a familiar name, that's because this is his debut. And if we remember back to Portland, the 89 car driven by Wes Hayes at the time put up a spectacular run. He qualified for the top 10, was running 3rd at the time before he slid into the turn 3 wall and crashed, unfortunately for him. That brought an end to his day, but Nicholas Curry might be bringing that 89 magic here as he also tries to make his debut run at Myrtle Beach. You can see Justin Carr in the 0 has caught up with this pack, and we're coming to the white flag here. It's a 4-car race for 2 spots. Curry and Hars are side by side, but watch out here as Hars slips up the track. Justin Carr is going to fill the slot. Richard Fridge trying to force it 3 wide going down the backstretch. And it's going to be a tight race for that final spot. Looks like Curry is safe. 3 wide still here for second. Hars is slipping back. Now Fridge forces his way forward. Justin Carr trying to take it away, and Fridge will get it. It's going to be Nicholas Curry and Richard Fridge going to the top 10. And what a battle from Richard Fridge up the middle and 3 wide going down the backstretch. Well, that was something to witness, and it was only Group 1. We've got 4 more groups in the feature to go. Let's go back to this crash, as it looks like Kyle Langland tries to force it up the inside on Richard Raffi and Daniel Makimo. And unfortunately, the 50 car is going to go head on into that wall. The 3 wide just did not work out there. And you can see Raffi actually made contact with Carr. I wonder if that had an effect on his performance in that final corner. He clearly had the speed to catch up, just unfortunately wasn't able to keep the 07 from making the charge in the middle lane. You can see there's a squeeze there. There's where Juan Garcia gets involved. Up along the outside wall. And unfortunately for all these guys back here, they really had nothing to do there except come to a stop and try to weave their way through it. But that basically ended their day right then and there. Another look from down the racetrack. A big shunt into the side of the 0 car. Amazing that he was able to drive away from that and keep speed. And it really did hold up this field. A lot of good drivers taken out of this. Luke Evans wasn't able to make his way through. Or at least when he did, he was out of contention. James Johnson, the first winner of the modified races. Etienne Jones, a runner-up at Oswego. Colin Murphy made debut at Ontario and finished 16th. Several good drivers in this group, but unfortunately, it came down to who was able to stay out in front of the accident, and Nicholas Curry, on his debut, is going to make it to the feature race along with Richard Fridge for the second time as they finish just ahead of Justin Carr, Jason Hars, Jonathan Wong coming home in the 5th position. Unfortunately, we never saw much of the group outside the top 4 after that accident, as we see Langland, Garcia, Makimo, some of those drivers involved finish at the back of the field. Raffi actually managed to fight his way back to 11th after his involvement in that. So now it's on to group number 2. Evelyn Yee is going to start out front along with Aiden Fife, 2 drivers that have made at least 1 start in the Truck Series, and Fife actually finished top 10 at Mayville. Richard Morris is in this group, along with Luke Evans, has the most starts in the Truck Series long part-timers with 5. He has 1 top 10 that came at Derek's Motordrome. And we also have Lucas Setz, who won the 2nd of these modified races at Portland. He's going to be a little bit further back, but this is a wild track that can produce some wild results. Green flag is on for group number 2. Almost a repeat of group number 1. Yee is going to get the good jump on the inside line, while Fife up in that dirty stuff is going to have a hard time getting through the corners. Logan York slots in the 2nd place. And he's going to try to make the move to the inside. We also have Louis Usher trying to follow him as we ride on board the Fife. Trying to work his way through. Unfortunately boxed in here. He might be able to get underneath Yee. He's going to have to force it 3 wide if he tries to make that move, though. Now it's York up in front with Louis Usher on the inside. Usher qualified for Toronto. York hasn't qualified in his first 2 attempts. And we see coming to the inside, trying to make it 3 wide, it's Tanya Breyer. We'll see if Usher can hold down the middle line like Fridge did in the last group, but it looks like Breyer's going to overdrive it also slightly, and Richard Morris trying to move to the inside as they battle for that position. And here comes Richard Morris to the inside. 3 wide, Usher and Breyer make contact. And they're nearly 4 wide as they come out of turn 4. Morris is going to get the lap. And we're not even halfway done yet. Now Fridge finds himself out in front, but here comes to the inside Kyle Springer. Yet to make his debut in 5 attempts, as it's 3 wide behind both of these leaders. Springer does a solid job keeping it down. It looks like there's contact between York and the 91. That would be John Campbell. Yet to qualify in his first 4 attempts. But trying to see if he can sneak into this feature event. Emmett Juckham, the veteran from the Elite Cup Series in Season 1, is right behind him. Now riding on board York, who's done a pretty solid job to at least kind of hang up here in the top 5 or so, despite being on the outside line. But now it looks like he's getting a little bit trapped as Lucas Setz works his way to the inside. And contact between the 41 and the 87, and Juckham gets turned into the wall. It's going to be a one-car incident, but Juckham's not going to be happy about that one. There was plenty of time to separate, and the 87 never cut him a break. And unfortunately, that's going to cost the 87 some time as he now slots back to about the 10th position. Campbell gets his way back to the front. Lucas Setz working his way to the inside, trying to see if he can get back to the lead. Behind Setz is the 95 of Zach Winkle, yet to make his debut. As Setz slides in front of the 91, Winkle's going to have the inside line here. It's going to be 3 laps to go across the line. Leland Fife has the draft. And now as Winkle slides up the racetrack, it's going to be the 04 trying to work his way into the lead. Keep in close contact. 3 attempts for the driver of the 04, hasn't made one yet as well. And he's going to slide at the track. Here comes Brayer once again. Keeping herself in the picture. It's about a 3-wide situation. The 80's going to try to run the low line here. And now we're riding on board Michael Deach, who turned Juckham into the wall, and he's going to try to make a move on Brayer. And he's going to have to be careful. I think they touched tires there. He's already got one driver mad at him, and he's about to try to send it in there for the lead. And here comes the outside pole sitter. Aiden Fife is going to try to go for the lead now. He slid back on the initial start, and now he's trying to see if he can take the lead over and qualify for the feature race. Tire-to-tire contact. Oh, and there's contact from the low line. Multiple cars up into the wall. And Fife caught a piece of that, but did he drive away? Yes, he did. He keeps the lead. After contact with a car that slid from underneath him. Aiden Fife's going to win the group, and Tristan Ludette also qualifies. Where in the world did he come from? Didn't talk about him at all in this group. Well, I can tell you one thing. He certainly wasn't involved in that accident because that took out several of the front runners. Let's take a look at these incidents from this group, starting with this one on the backstretch with Juckham and Michael Deach. I'm just not sure who to blame there. It just seems like ultimately the contact's coming from the left rear on Juckham, so might be a little hard to turn off of that, but at the same time, it was halfway down the backstretch before that turn occurred. Kind of difficult to assign blame there, but let's take a look at this incident. Josh Joyner Jr. on the inside in 64, and it looks like he almost just barely slides up into Zach Winkle. Tanya Brayer on the outside, and Michael Deach gets collected. A big hit for that 64 car as he goes head on into the wall. But Fife got a little bit of contact, and he was able to drive out of it as the rest of the field tries to dodge the accident. Unfortunately, John Campbell gets collected with the 95 of Winkle. Looks like Evelyn Yee, the pole sitter, also takes a hit there. As Deach spins around, it looks like the 64 is not going to be able to drive it back, and let's take a look on his onboard. That's an unfortunate ending in this one, but it is going to be Aiden Fife who's able to qualify, and Tristan Ludette who joins him. And you're never going to believe this stat. Ludette is the only driver to qualify for all 3 of the modified races that we've had so far, and no driver had qualified for the first 2 other than Ludette, and now he is in his 3rd feature event. How about that for a stat? Top 5 going to be finished out by Ryan Wenham, Brandon Figueroa, and Leland Fife, and Josh Joyner Jr. After that hard hit into the outside wall will come up in the last position. John Campbell, who was also up there for a good amount of time, is also going to finish near the back along with Tanya Breyer. We head to group number 3. It's John Felber and Brian McDonough who will be on the front row for this group. Spotting a couple of drivers that were a part of the league early on. Adam Lewis, Cameron Vargo. Lewis hasn't made a race since Twin Ring Motegi in race number 3, but did run those first 3 truck events, as did Derek Northrup back in the 12th position. Vargo has 2 top 15 finishes in his 2 starts. And now that's the green flag for race number 3. It looks like that 67 got a great jump. In fact, it was so good that McDonough was able to slide into the inside line before going into turn 1, which for his sake was legal. That was after the start-finish line, so he's certainly not going to get penalized for that, and that was a pretty good move on his part. He's probably thanking John Felber for getting the start that he did, that Josh Brindley wasn't able to slide in behind him, and now the 95 car is going to have a move on the inside by Cameron Vargo. He's been driving that 17 car since he joined the league, and here comes McDonough to the front. Still looking for his start in the Truck Series. As they are 3 wide behind him for second. That's a feisty move down to the inside by the 17 as he's trying to hold down the 95 from making the move on his outside. Still hasn't been able to clear him there. But here comes Gorman to the inside. Now in the 4th position. Trying to give the 17 the draft to make it up to the front, and looks like now Vargo and McDonough side by side. Vargo's going to run slightly up the racetrack, but he is going to be clear of the 37 and briefly had a gap on the 2 car of Gorman, but now he's going to slide underneath there and a little bit high, so that's going to give the 48 of Kinghart a chance to move inside. And there's contact there. Fortunately, they keep it straight as they go 3 wide down into turn 3. A little bit of an overdrive by the 48, but enough to keep a little bit of a block on the 87. That's Vincent Crook in the 87 car, a new driver, as we see McDonough now trapped in the middle of 3 wide. Not the situation you want to be in, as Northrup trying to move inside. And he pushes up the track a little bit, and he's going to go around off the nose of the 37 and in front of Gorman. And right back into the path of the pole sitter, John Felber. Zach Griffin also collected in the 43. Now Felber and Gorman having some trouble separating, but that's going to be the end of their night regardless. An unfortunate way to go out for those drivers that were keeping it up there in the top 10, and now Felber's just going to pull it down to pit lane. His night's over. He knows it. He's just going to park it. But now we go back to the lead group, and it's Vincent Crook out in front. It looks like Nick Rail has taken over second. Logan Williams working his way in the third in front of Kinghart. Rail has only qualified for the race at Toronto, finished 20th. See Kinghart there trying to make the move on the outside of Williams. That's obviously not going to work. Right on board with the 48. This time he's going to stay in line. It looks like the 91 of Aiden Beck has caught up to the back of this group. And there's a few more cars following, including McDonough, who was able to at least hold speed. Didn't fully break up this pack, so we still have a good group of cars trying to fight for the top 2 positions as we're under 3 laps to go. 2.5 going down the backstretch. Logan Williams trying to make his move on the lead. Kinghart following, followed by Beck. Aiden Beck, another one of the drivers that will be making their first truck attempt at Myrtle Beach. Williams a little bit up the track. Here comes Kinghart trying to take the lead. 2 laps to go. Kinghart slides up. Beck stays at the low line, trying to see if he can work his way in there. Wheel-to-wheel contact. It's very close. Hasn't made the move yet, but he's still there on the inside. 3 wide going down. Beck's going to slide up a little. Could the veteran Vargo make the move to the inside? White flag's out. Still plenty of cars in contention here. Back in the middle of Kinghart and Vargo. 17 slides up the track a little and Beck's into the wall along with Kinghart. And the 91's going to come to a stop. And now it's the 95 of Josh Brindley who's found his way to the inside of the 73. Vargo's out in front. It's a race for second now. Brindley has the spot. And it's going to be Vargo and Josh Brindley who move on to the feature race. And I'm going to imagine that Aiden Beck does not have any good feelings about what Vargo did there. as it was a clear 3-wide situation and never gave him the room, and there was contact involved. Let's take a look at this first incident on the backstretch. Northrop just kind of came up the track like he was tight in front of the 37. The 2 was on the outside of that 3-wide situation, and then Northrop goes spinning. You can see Vargo take evasive action. He was behind the 2 of Gorman in that situation, and he avoids that and manages to go on for the lead. And also Josh Brindley avoids that before John Felber, right behind him, gets collected. And the 43 of Zach Griffin tried to take the outside for evasive action, and that did not work out for him, so unfortunately he also gets collected. We'll take a look at this incident at full speed now. Really tough spot, especially when that 00 starts to come back down the track. You keep hoping that they're going to stay up toward the outside wall, and unfortunately that's not what the 00 did. And the 67, an unfortunate bystander in that one, and then has a little trouble getting away from the 2 car. And then here we got Vargo just sliding up the track, and Aiden Beck still has James Kinghart to his outside, and that forces him into the outside wall. A very hard hit, just like we saw Josh Joyner Jr. take in group number 2. And Kinghart also, with a pretty good lick into the wall, able to drive away and finish the race, but definitely not going to finish inside the top 2, which he needed to make the feature event, as Beck will come to a stop up against the outside wall. Just a really heartbreaking way to end your debut performance when it looked like you had a chance at qualifying for the feature, but that will go to Cameron Vargo and Josh Brindley, who is also making his first attempt at Myrtle Beach, so he's going to be in contention for a win prior to what might be his first truck start. Nick Rail, Logan Williams, and Vincent Crick, all drivers we saw up there in the top 5, were able to come home in those positions despite that accident. Unfortunately, we'd see Aiden Beck at the back of the field along with John Felber. And Kinghart was able to at least drive it home to 13th as Zach Griffin, Derek Northrup, and Andrew Gorman struggled to catch back up to the group. Now we move on to group number 4. It's Tyler Bate and Isaac Nichols up front. Bates, along with Blake Andrews, back in 6th position, 2 of the drivers that were a part of the first Truck Series race at Columbia. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to make a race since. Also see the 9th position, Wes Hayes, the driver we mentioned, really got his start in the last of the modified races. Has yet to make a truck race, though. We'll see if he can qualify for another modified race as the 4th group goes green. And this time it's Tyler Bate who really gets a good jump, and the 61 of Will Stukes immediately gets by the 29. Nichols just did not get going. He's finally up to speed, but already has fallen back to 4th as now Stukes is trying to work his way to the inside of Bate. And Steven Schaff on the inside gave the draft to the 61, now trying to make the move for himself. So Stukes will lead lap number 1, but now it's Schaff on the inside, followed by Calix Zia, who's trying to make it 3 wide, really forcing the situation. 37 tightly on the left rear of the 88. See Derek Hamill in the 82 making his way to the inside as Bates trying to force a 3 wide situation now. Now you've basically got 2 lines of 3 wide. Zia leads the lap, and here comes Hamill, forcing a 4 wide situation, and Schaff and Zia go into the wall. Almost a carbon copy of how race number 3 ended, except this time Zia is going to be able to pull away. And that's going to separate the group a little bit. Now Wes Hayes, as we mentioned, made that modified race last time at Portland. Works his way to the inside on Derek Hamill, still out front. But those cars behind him are going to catch him very quickly as they run side by side, so they are certainly not out of the woods yet. 7 laps to go in this one. Great to look at these onboard angles of the racing that takes place here at Milwaukee, as Hamill still keeping his presence known as he goes to the inside of Wes Hayes, who led the lap. Looks like Keyshawn Richardson has worked his way to the inside. Made his way by Jonathan Mick, now trying to work inside of Hayes. As Isaac Nichols is also giving him the draft to work his way there. 0-2 now side by side. Hamill will lead the lap, but should be the 0-2 that gets to the inside of him. And now Nichols is going to try to work his way through as the 0-2 slides up. So now it's Richardson and Nichols side by side. One truck race qualified for Richardson. He made Zen Joltis and finished 16th. Still looking for start number 2. Here comes Dylan Farrell. Been attempting since Oswego. Race number 5 has yet to qualify for an event, but he's going to work his way to the inside of Nichols here. And we'll have Jordan Probst now battling him. So these leaders are really cycling as they take the lead, run up the track, and allow someone to come to the inside, and there's trouble here! Zia is slow on the track, and that forces the 4 of Probst up into the 56. As everyone takes evasive action, now Diego Yepes has found his way to the lead, and Zia is really holding up this outside lane. And Nichols is trapped behind. Probst finally gets to the inside, but that whole outside line is toast. And that's so unfortunate. Zia really has no need to be out there anymore. The car is just not carrying any more speed, and the 29 is going to really lose out on that situation. Yepes now battling Jack Kitchell for the lead. Derek Hamill working his way to the inside. Now the 44 slides back to third. Might lose another one to Paul Jackson. So Kitchell has the outside line. Hamill almost certainly going to take the lead here. But will he be able to hold off Paul Jackson? Will Stukes still in the picture? This is a 5-car race for 2 spots. Looks like Gabe Finney is too far out of the picture for this one. And Hamill's going to slide up the track. Paul Jackson in the middle. Will Stukes on the inside. Looks like Jackson's going to get the spot. Will it be Stukes that gets the inside line advantage? Hamill slides up the track. And it's going to be 3 wide for third place, but it's not going to matter. It's going to be Jackson and Stukes from group number 4, qualifying for the feature event. So a great run by those 2 drivers, neither of whom have made a truck start to date, nor a modified race. They are both going to try to see if they can fight for the victory tonight. Now let's take a look back at this incident between Derek Hamill, Alex Zia, and Steven Schaff. I'm not entirely certain if the 82 and 37 made contact. But the 82 definitely slid up the track. Maybe the 37 got a little bit spooked there. Maybe Schaff was on the right rear tire of the 37. Ultimately, the result is the same. The 37 put into the outside wall. Zia is able to continue driving, but unfortunately just kind of got in the way there at the end. What's right on board Schaff. Yeah, it does look like there was contact early with the 88, maybe coming down, expecting the 37 was going to be able to clear. So maybe a little bit of blame to be put on Schaff there, but again, we go back to those results. Paul Jackson, Will Stukes, both going to be fighting for the feature victory tonight. Derek Hamill, Diego Yepes, and Jack Kitchell will finish out the top 5. Jordan Probst looks like he had a chance at some point. Unfortunately, Alex Zia kind of got in the way as a lapsed car. And you look at the back half of the results, and it's a little bit unfortunate. You saw a lot of these drivers up front at one point in this race, and unfortunately, I think that incident with Zia kind of put them toward the back, especially Nichols, who was trapped right behind the 37 car. So we move on to the final group before the feature event. Justin Zeidel and Aiden Wilder will be on the front row. Zeidel has qualified for 2 of the last 3 truck races. He got a 9th place finish on Ontario, so you figure he's going to be a heavy hitter in this one. And Jeff Cabago, who's made quite a few starts in the truck series as well, will find himself in this group. And it's time to get going for group number 5. The final 2 cars about to advance into the feature race. Green flag is out. And Zeidel will get out quickly. That's about as even of a start as we've seen from any of these groups, but Wilder will end up sliding backwards as Carter Thiessen now works his way to the inside. Fights his way to second. Zeidel a little bit up the racetrack, and the 49 car has a gap to go. But Zeidel will lead lap number 1. Thiessen getting the push from Justin Garza. And as the 49 shifts a little bit up the racetrack, it's going to give Garza a chance to go for the lead. Thiessen finished 5th in the season opener at Columbia, but hasn't made a race since. Trying to see if he can qualify for this feature event. He's going to slide up, and here comes the 32 car of Andrew Ross. And we're riding on board with Justin Zeidel. It's a tight squeeze, 3 wide going underneath Carter Thiessen. But we got Max Shadow on the inside. And he makes contact with Andrew Ross, and into the wall they go. And smoke pours out of the 32. His day is done. Max Shadow, a really aggressive move to go from the inside line there and try to take the lead. And they make contact. So now it's Garza out in front, but here comes Christian Vargas to the inside, followed by Tyler Sage. Zeidel still stuck in that outside line despite his move to the middle. Vargas still looking for his truck debut, been competing since Trenton, race number 4. Sage trying to make the move here. Stottlemyre is behind the 84 car. And he's going to try to make the move to the inside now. So just a 2-car incident on the backstretch halfway through this one. As James Duckworth, who's made a little bit of a splash himself in the Truck Series with a 5th place debut at Texas World. Trying to see if he can go for this modified start. Comes the 06 of Mitchell Collins. And now he's going to turn the 98. And now Duckworth into the wall. So 2 times in this race alone, cars getting hooked off of turn number 2. And unfortunately, this one's going to take out James Duckworth. Still got Stottlemyre up front, followed by Ryan Adema. So we're right on board Jeff Cabico. 3 starts in the Truck Series, top 10 in his first 2 starts. As Adema works his way to the inside, and Cabico's going to try to make the move now. Adema made his first attempt in the Truck Series last race at Ontario. Did not qualify. He's going to lead this lap with 3 to go in the race. Here comes the 93, Kenneth Grant. He's going to be another debutant at Myrtle Beach. And he's trying to see if he can make waves in his first modified attempt. Going to slide up a little bit. Cabico going to have to swing wide a little bit. Garza still in the picture, as he's now working his way to the inside, almost touching the 93, maybe touching the 93. And it's going to be a tight squeeze for Grant. Garza's not going to leave him any room, in the 06 of Collins trying to work his way through. Garza has just 1 truck start to his name. That came at Pikes Peak, his first attempt. Hasn't made a race since. But here comes Collins to the inside. White flag here, and still plenty of cars in this pack. Garza swings wide, the 06 a little bit high. Here comes Adrian Morales. He's got the ideal lane going down into turn 3 and 4. Will the 39 of Donnie Williams be able to pass the 06? It looks like he's got it. And it looks like a no-doubter now. Morales and Donnie Williams are going to the feature race. So no major crashes in that one, but a few clips off of turn number 2. And certainly some people are going to be unhappy with how they were racing this one. This situation, it looks like the 61 of Max Shadow just simply came up and just collected Andrew Ross and took him straight into the wall. We've seen 1 or 2 of those where it looks like they could have potentially separated. In that situation, it looks like simply the 61 came up and just cleaned out the 32. And that immediately took out his motor, and it looks like the 61 might have also cut one as well. And that's one that was one of the more ambiguous ones, the 98 and the 06 getting together. So Mitchell Collins Gonna have some explaining to do to James Duckworth there, maybe. Unless he's gonna see that one differently. But unfortunate way for him to be eliminated from this one, as we have finally completed all of the group sessions. Adrian Morales and Donnie Williams will be moving on. Mitchell Collins, Khaled Campbell, and Justin Garza came up just short. We are very fortunate to see most of everyone come back in a single group and stay in contention for this one. A little bit further back, we see Andrew Ross did take it behind the wall. Looks like Max Shadow actually stayed out on the track, and I do believe we did see him just before we hit the start-finish line. He was almost about to play a factor in that one, but fortunately, everyone stayed behind. And now we move on to the feature race. Everyone has re-racked, and this is how they're going to line up. It's going to be Will Stooks and Adrian Morales up front, followed by Curry, Fife, Ludette, Fridge, Brindley, Vargo, Williams, and Jackson. So the top two from each group all going to battle out. This race is going to be 20 laps to determine who wins the third race of the Modified Series. Green flag out. And I tell you what, Morales got a pretty good jump there. Isn't going to be able to carry that speed into the corner. Will Stooks holds down the inside line, but pretty good leap from the get-go from Morales, and Nicholas Curry going to try to take over the second position. Stooks doing a decent job at defending. Let's see what he does down into the corner. Didn't put it right down on the yellow line, which he needed to do if he wanted to defend the inside line. And now Curry's going to have a good opportunity going down into turn 3 to take over the lead here. He'll slide up a little bit, kind of give the 61 a spook, but ultimately the lane will be his. He's not quite clear yet, but should be good going into turn 1, hoping that he doesn't slide up too much and give the opportunity to Tristan Ludette. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he's going to do. Riding on board Josh Brindley's 95 car as he drafts the 9. He's going to see him go to the lead, but he's going to try to take over the lead at the same time. Doesn't quite have the inside on Ludette yet, as the 9 car leads the lap. Has a good chance down here in the turn 1. There he goes. Donnie Williams trailing. Now the 95 is going to work his way to the front, and we're going to probably see this for a while as long as they stay too wide. Several lanes back, and there's a 3-wide situation here as Nicholas Curry tries to go to the inside of Ludette. Donnie Williams on the inside. This is tight. This is tight. There's contact. Everyone in the top 4 goes for a slide, but everyone keeps it straight, and Paul Jackson works his way to the front. Boy, that was a tense moment as Curry tried to shoot a 3-wide gap. And there's still a 3-wide situation back there with Fridge and Stooks. Jackson leads the lap. Williams going to shoot his way forward. Vargo looking to the inside. There's a little bit of contact there. You got to figure Vargo might want to watch himself because he already has one driver that's probably not too happy with him. Of course, Aiden Beck no longer participating after that contact late in the race in his group event. And now we got a 3-wide situation going down into turn 1. Oh, contact there. Williams and Vargo. They slide up the track, and there's trouble with Williams further back. Aiden Fife goes around. And it looks like everyone in the back half of the field has been separated from the front group. You see Will Stooks there got held up, made a little bit of contact, and unfortunate for Donnie Williams, he was a part of that as he slid backwards. Josh Brindley looks like he spun toward the inside wall. But now I believe there's only 5 cars up front that really have a shot at this now. And right now it's Adrian Morales leading the way. And you've got Curry on the inside of Jackson and Vargo on the inside of Richard Fridge. So Morales is maintaining the momentum here. You have to figure those drivers are going to be hungry for a victory here. Curry now takes possession of second place. Slides right in behind the 70 car. Vargo was able to get away with that, and he was very fortunate in that situation. He and Donnie Williams made contact. The 39 slid up with him, but he was a little bit further back, and then everything kind of scrambled from there, and the 39 of Williams was caught up in that accident while the 17 continued on. We now see Curry has worked his way to the front at the halfway point of the race. Now Vargo trying to make a move. It's all going to come down to that draft. You can see Richard Fridge behind the 17. Vargo overdrives it a little, and that's going to allow Fridge to take a look. He's going to make the move here. Paul Jackson trying to look for maybe 3 wide here. And a very tight move off of turn 2. Can't quite get to him. Probably had to check up a little bit there. Fridge holds it down for now, but Jackson's going to try to put up another fight. And almost gets there, and now he will get there. It looks like there was a little bit more of a draft on the outside line for a second, and it's going to be a 3 wide here. Potentially, Morales trying to look to the inside. Paul Jackson in control now. Morales is going to have the next available lane, and look at how tight it is behind him. Vargo is really putting his car into uncomfortable positions tonight. He shoots Richard Fridge back up the racetrack. Finds his way currently in 3rd. Morales now going to try to make the move to the inside. I'm sure Vargo's going to try to follow as Jackson's up the racetrack. And no, he's actually going to fall in line behind the 06. Now it's Morales up front. 6 laps to go. Morales slides. Curry underneath. And as we expect, there is no contest from the cars behind. Clearly, everyone from Ludette back doesn't have the speed to keep up with these guys, and they're just not having the draft to work with as these guys have. So you'd expect that the winner's going to come from one of these 5 unless they all wreck themselves. Which, the way that tonight has gone, that might be a possibility. Ridge now to the inside. He's going for the lead. He's got it. Vargo looking underneath. Not quite there yet. And really no one drafting with anybody at the moment. Morales looks like he shot a 3 wide situation there, and Vargo should have the corner of the 07 to work underneath, so Vargo putting himself in position. Paul Jackson follows behind. Still got a chance at this. Realistically, everyone still in this top 5 has a chance with 3 laps to go. It's going to come down to timing. Who's going to make the move at the right time? Jackson's making his move now. He's going to clear the 17. Curry does not have a corner to him, and there's a 3 wide situation behind Jackson with 2 laps to go. Vargo slides back. Curry on the inside. Probably has the best chance here. Slides backward a little bit. Gonna have to fight back on Fridge. And not quite able to get there yet. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Curry has not gotten underneath Fridge. The 07 really putting up a good fight. Just trailing the 06. Coming into the final corner, Fridge is going to look low. And he might have something on Jackson coming down the front stretch. It's going to be side by side. Photo finish, and here they come. Jackson just barely edges out Fridge. What a finish to that one. It looked like Curry should have had the advantage on Fridge for those past couple laps. The 07 held it strong on the outside line. And he made a move on that final corner might have just been a little bit too late, as Jackson just barely gets to the line first. Let's take a look at that photo finish one more time. The 07 had more momentum, but look at that, just by a bumper bar. Official margin of victory, 11 1/1000ths of a second. With the racing we've seen tonight, that's about as good of a finish as you can end this one off on. Well done by all these competitors. They really put on a show on this mile-long track that's effectively a super speedway for these modifieds. Let's take a look at some of the other highlights as we see there may be a little bit of contact with Fridge on Vargo that sent Donnie Williams up the track. And then that situation kind of accordions this group as Josh Brindley makes contact with, I want to say, Aiden Fife, and Donnie Williams is just kind of the innocent bystander there. And Ludette's going to get into the 95 as he spins to the inside wall. Will Stukes also involved, so unfortunately everyone in the back half of that group was caught up in that one. We're right on board with Donnie Williams. Well, what an intense set of races, all capped off with a photo finish as Paul Jackson comes away with the victory over Richard Fridge. Nicholas Curry grabs third place. Looked like he had a shot there and unfortunately never made the move. Adrian Morales, Cameron Vargo will round at the top 5, and the rest of the top 10, they're qualifying for this feature event, all caught up in that accident. Will Stukes, Aiden Fife, Tristan Ludette, unfortunately made all 3 modified races, but hasn't been able to cap it off with a win. Donnie Williams and Josh Brindley bring up the remainder of the results page. So that's going to do it for this open modified event. Remember, we've got the Amateur Cup Series starting off their round of 8 coming up right after this. And then the Elite Cup Series is going to finish off the round of 12 later tonight. For NFRN and RVN, my name is Colin Denton. We hope to see you next time.